My Project C is addressing the question, how does social media impact society? Aloha, my name is Vanessa Wong and I am in the MIS Online 8B course. I want to first introduce my topics before I get to the discussion part of this project. Why is social media important? Because of the strong impact it has on society today. With the ever-present coronavirus pandemic, social media use has become increasingly more popular during this unprecedented time. Due to the mandated social distancing, individuals are forced to stay home, and social media gives them a way to interact with friends and family as well as stay connected to the world. As for historical references of social media, the telegraph was invented in 1792, where people were able to deliver messages over a long distance. In the 1800s, the radio and telephone were discovered. Then in the 20th century, technology began to develop more rapidly with the inventions of computers. By the 1980s, home computers were becoming more common, and social media became more sophisticated than just emailing. The first recognizable social media site, 6 Degrees, was created in 1997. It enabled users to upload a profile and make friends with other users. In 1999, the first blogging sites became popular, creating a social media sensation that is still popular today. Thirdly, the primary objective of this paper is to communicate social media's impacts on society and its effects. Today, there is a tremendous variety of social media networking sites. I chose this topic because there has been a huge boom in social media since the start of COVID-19, the pandemic. It has become the forefront of many minds and perhaps even the sole way individuals communicate with each other. Next, I want to discuss the textbook. Social media is talked about in Chapter 8 of our textbook. It's defined as the use of information technology to support the sharing of content among networks of users. Social media is also a convergence of disciplines, as seen in the figure illustrated on the screen. As you can see, social media is in the middle, and social media can branch off into so many different disciplines such as psychology, the organization theory, marketing, MIS, computer science, and sociology. It is very versatile indeed. Depending on how organizations want to use social media, they can be users, both individuals and organizations that use social media sites to build social relationships, providers, or both. Social media is a powerful tool, and to use it well, organizations must know their goals and plan accordingly. Next, I want to talk about social media's history. In history, early forms of social media were used as a way to communicate with people, whether it was over a short or long distance. Before the immense rise of the social media advancements in the 2000s, there were a few precursors of social media beginning in 1844. The first ever platform was a company called 6 Degrees, which I stated in my introduction, and it was implemented as a first idea. And then starting in the 21st century, social media had a huge advancement. The pace of change has accelerated since 1844 indeed. Information and communication technology have changed rapidly over the past 20 years, with key developments being the emergence of social media. For example, the development of mobile technology has played an important role in shaping the impact of social media. Across the globe, mobile devices dominate in terms of total minutes spent online. This puts the means to connect anywhere, at any time, on any device, in anyone's hands. For me, I use social media a lot, and I always have my phone on me. So I can personally say that social media is a huge impact on my life because it gives me so much information at my fingertips. Next, I've included a simple infographic of the history of social media platforms dating back from 1844 until 2018. It is illustrated on the screen. I included it because I thought it was a very eye-opening infographic regarding the history behind social media. It's something that we might forget sometimes, but it's amazing to see how far we've come. From 1844's beginning to emailing, The various social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, which are providers, as seen in the textbook definition. Then to VR, we've come a long way indeed. Next, I would like to discuss the motivation behind sharing through social media. So there was a study that I found fascinating by the New York Times Consumer Insight Group. It revealed the motivations that participants talked about for sharing information on social media. And these include a desire to reveal valuable and entertaining content to others, to define themselves, to grow and nourish relationships, and to get the word out about brands and causes they like to support. So as you can see on the little infographic I created above, their studies revealed that 84% share to support a cause or issues that they feel strongly about. This impacts society because it shows people's concern for issues that they feel are important. I see this as I scroll through Instagram and Facebook every day, especially during the election. People were posting about how they felt and their values, and I thought that was very interesting on social media's use, and I feel like it impacted society in so many ways. And this in turn changes perspectives of many individuals and helps communicate to others the worldviews of their peers or businesses. 94% of individuals share to pass valuable information. 49% of these respondents influence action about products by sharing. This impacts society as well. When people share things, it influences their peers. It's a tactic that businesses use to advertise their products. They also implement giveaways, broadcasting, and many other ways to ensure that their consumers do the advertising for them. When loyal customers advertise to their friends, also known as potential customers, it increases business sales. This aspect of social media directly affects businesses. Social media advertising and getting people to share to pass on valuable information increases sales and revenue in businesses worldwide. Next, people use social sharing to build image and demonstrate those who they are and what they stand for. Like the first statistic, this helps individuals communicate themselves to others. It sparks healthy discussion and even debates. I know I've had many debates with people through social media. 78% of people who share do it to interact, grow, get a sense of fulfillment, nurture relationships, and stay in touch with others. And 69% share to participate, to feel involved in things happening in the world. Next, I would like to discuss the social impact theory. So it has been proven that humans need other humans to feel whole. This brings me to this theoretical analysis by Bib Latane. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. 3 factors make up social impact within his theory. The first is strength, which asks how important the influencing groups to the target of the influence. The second is immediacy, that asks how close in proximity and time the influencing group to the target of the influence is. And the last factor is a number which questions the amount of people in the influencing group. So actually the principles that are part of this theory have become vastly more powerful in the context of social media. For example, it's important to note how a network like Facebook or Twitter applies to Latane's theory in 3 simple points. First, social media provides strength in the form of friends, colleagues, and family. It's the people who you have relationships with and whose opinions matter to you. Secondly, social media provides immediacy, both temporarily and virtually. So those are the people who you are connected to but are never more than a mobile device away. Lastly, social media provides enormous opportunity for the number of people in the influencing group. Social media is being used in ways that shape politics, businesses, world culture, education, careers, innovation, and more. Next, I would like to discuss today's pandemic and how it interacts with social media. Latane's study is being proven true in today's culture during the coronavirus pandemic. Since humans are so influenced by others, they need each other to feel whole. When the pandemic hit, people all around the world were forced to stay home to be safe and healthy by the governmental mandates. As a result, they lost the face-to-face aspect of human communication, which is actually very important. This is when the use of social media platforms rose exponentially. People began to communicate through social media channels entirely because of the lack of meeting in person. Video calls, virtual meetings, and chat rooms became the norm. The Generation Z demographic sector say that access to social media and being able to interact with friends and family has been helpful in helping boost their mood and sense of well-being. The Generation Z demographic is so important because I feel that they are most directly impacted by COVID's social media use. When this demographic was asked how the pandemic has changed their plans for the future, almost half said that they increased their focus on savings, 30% said they had increased their commitment to studying, and decided to learn a new skill during the period. This shows that social media has such a strong impact on our economy, our businesses, and our society. Overall, social media has directly impacted society today. My main objective is to analyze the impacts of social media on society, and I want to say that through my research on Project C that it is supported. So I would like to share my conclusion. Social media directly impacts individuals on so many levels as seen through the historical evidences on how the platforms began and the studies from the New York Times Consumer Insight Group focusing on the motivations behind the people's use of social media. This is especially relevant in 2020's pandemic's new norm as supported by Lataine's social impact theory. I found that these directly correlate. The work of others merely helped me make connections to my findings. This topic is so important because of the relevancy from the current state of the world we are involved in. There is an unbelievable amount of uncertainty paired with the happenings in 2020. People have lost their job. People are struggling financially. I have lost my job because I was actually working in tourism prior to the start of the pandemic. So I feel that more research should be done after this pandemic is in the past. It has so many unforeseen circumstances and so many people are impacted by it. And I think that it's worth studying this after it's over. Some questions to consider. Will social media's popularity lessen exponentially when we don't have to stay indoors or 6 feet away from people with masks on? When people start going back to normal and we don't have to keep the COVID pandemic in mind anymore, will social media be just as popular or decrease in popularity and usage? I feel that these are questions that we should consider going on after this. We will not know until we see this until the end. So I want to conclude and say that overall, social media does indeed impact society in so many ways. Thank you for your time and for listening. This is the end of my presentation.